So, yes, thank you so much for coming in. Is that Naya? Sure. So, yes, a very warm morning come afternoon, just at the threshold of it, and thank you so very much for each of you who have managed to come here and shown us this honor of, listening to us. It's actually kind of strange what happened with me today with this session, because my session was actually supposed to be between 11 to 12 in the morning, and I was, I ran a little late, the traffic was bad, and so the session was rescheduled to be clubbed with this one. And somehow I then landed up in another session to catch it by the tail, and some very essential important learnings that somehow now makes a very integrated sense with my topic today. So I'm going to talk on dynamic capabilities, and what really is what really do we do in terms of our capabilities, talents, skills, and what really can perhaps be done if there is a gap in between those two things, how the society or the world makes us act versus how we can explore the maximum of what we have got. So very recently I was reading this, quite a few articles and books incidentally, which spoke about the concept of multiple intelligence, which says that even though of course we are, studying one particular discipline in college, we are particularly, exercising one set of training to be able to do one set of job. In reality, our persona is bigger than that. One, we are born with quite a few skills, talents, and inclinations, interests. And also, as we go through life, it is not really a very rare story these days that at one point you feel that 7-year itch, not just in your marriage but also in your work life, where you really feel like, okay, this is my 9 to 5 and this is what I'm supposed to deliver, and these are the timelines and this is the salary hitting right in time at the end of the month, but is there all that is there to my life? And there is this constant nudge that happens as to what more am I capable of doing, or where should I be taking my life to. The education system somehow has a certain way of boxing our identities into certain disciplines. There is a theory of multiple intelligence that I recently came across, which speaks about the certain other skills we have, which we perhaps do not exactly integrate into our life. We do not apply it. Essentially, our life's question should not be what career we choose in our lives, but to maximize or to optimize what we can do with what we have, what we choose to be trained in, what we educate ourselves with constantly, and how, with our certain inclinations and interests, we can best exchange or engage with the rest of the world. Which essentially drops down to two questions. One, what we are born with. Two, what we are interested in, what we need, what we want. Solving these two pieces of the riddle should help us to address this question, what we want to do with our lives. Unfortunately, and especially coming from India, where the education system is such and such, we do not really explore what's inside us, but we very often look at what is most rewarding in terms of a career and what is most plausible in terms of being a woman versus being a man, and what opportunities are available in front of us, what are the subjects we can take. There is a clear hierarchy in what can the selections be in terms of, if you have scored such and such marks, you can go into such and such disciplines, and you can cram notes, and you can crack exams, and you can score such and such things thereafter, and you can land up in this kind of a job. And frankly, if we reflect back on the system, and if we now, just take a step back and look at, say, for example, the Maslow's triangle, we would very easily see that it comes from a more clerical or more physiological security-based need, where certain steps are laid out in front of us and we have a default mindset to go after it. And it takes a huge, huge, huge courage to be able to break free of it. It often means messing up our lives because we do not know what lies ahead in another road that we have not traveled. And if we are really daring enough to leave behind us all that we have been taught by our parents and teachers, we then try to tap on certain aspects where we do not know what the rewards are, what security lies in for us. However, today as I think of it, I look around and, it's not just I myself or any of my friends, one or two of them, but quite a few of us who just, if you ask them how they are doing, of course beyond the standard default answer of saying that I'm doing fine and trying to appear all right on social media, there is this factor of stress. There is this factor of drudging through life. There is this factor of doing things that are perhaps not as meaningful as the soul asks it to be. I mean, there's this wonderful line I had read some time back which says that the soul's purpose is not to go for that job or to stay in that house or to stay in that marriage or to drive that car. The soul's purpose is to find a meaning of life. And very often when we commit ourselves to a certain occupation and a certain kind of living, we underplay or we leave unexplored the real dynamic capabilities we have, which is what we are talking about today, the dynamic capabilities. Capabilities come in a very unique shape. Obviously as human beings, each of us are as unique as a snowflake. But at the same time, if we look at a certain kind of pattern, it is safe enough to say that our intelligences are inherited, socially conditioned, and also personal and intrinsic to us in certain ways. There are quite a few kinds of intelligences that modern theories talk about. There is music intelligence, there is logical and scientific intelligence, there is linguistic intelligence, authors or speakers. There is spatial intelligence, dancers or athletics or sports people or actors. There is communication intelligence, there is spiritual intelligence, there is learning intelligence, there is personal intelligence. And personal again can be interpersonal, which is how we deal with the society, how much we can influence, impact and connect. And also intrapersonal intelligence, which is how much we can delve inside, how much we can bring out the uniqueness in each of us. So if there is one person who's totally standing out and making a change in the world and what the world thought it to be, that the world is not flat but round, that is personal intelligence in an intrapersonal way, that one person stands up for the power of one and changes the way the rest of the world thinks. So there are all these categories of personal intelligence, and there is also quite a few categories of personal motivations or personal reward systems. Does it pay off to me to be rewarded in terms of material gains or social service? Does it pay off to me to engage with the world in terms of philanthropy or technology or science or arts or creativity? Whether I want to hold a government position where I can influence the society and make a long-term change, or hold the power, the love of power, or appearing on the papers or whatever it is, or do I get driven by the idea of working for the destitutes or working at the root level? Do I work on the philosophy of getting more money and achieving more material success? These are all valid motivations, but we all have a combination, but also a set pattern of certain motivations that drive us in life. And it is essential for the education system to be able to tap and understand and uncover the skills we have, the dynamic capabilities we have, and the motivations that drive us. it is with a combination of all those intelligences and all those inclinations that we can perhaps find the best path that's suited to us. We can be trained and honed upon our particular skill sets. It can be kinesthetic, it can be musical, it doesn't always have to be academic, it doesn't always have to be textual, but it also can be textual. And our education system and the worldview and the entire, I would say, employment structure needs to find space to allocate and adjust and manifest these multiple human capabilities. I mean, on the job description of being a human, it is nowhere written that you have to do that job or you have to stay in this house. What is written or what should be written perhaps is to be able to manifest ourselves, our skills, our abilities, our emotions. Emotion is very much an intelligence. Again, our present education system really deals with a certain very narrow definition of IQ, where we really, guess the questions, read them up, go appear exams, crack them, and go in a certain direction. But really, the emotional intelligence is today being talked about. The emotional labor is today being acknowledged as an essential form of labor and a contribution to the world. It is not really the desk job 9 to 5 that really, obviously, but it is only now that we have come to talk about these things. It is very important for us, for each of us, and especially not just as selves, but also as parents or the next generation, mentors, teachers, to acknowledge, identify, and take a strong stand in terms of the multiple capabilities, skill sets, talents, the need to be able to develop it, to hone the kinesthetic, the motor skills, the emotional skills, the intelligence skills, the minds to be able to apply your knowledge to the right place. Frankly, the time has really changed. Just yesterday I was attending an open house at my daughter's school, and they were saying that today if you have to, do a multiplication, 5-digit, 6,743, 4-digit, multiplied by 179. It is only a dull student who would actually sit down and write down the numbers in rows and do all the carryovers. A smart child will just pick up the calculator or the smartphone. We have to understand that we have to use the, whatever exists in the world has changed in a big way from one generation to another. Today we are no longer in that career set where it is more clerical in nature, where we have to add up numbers or produce a certain number. We have to now solve problems which the computer cannot solve. We cannot just replicate what the computer is doing, because anyway the computer will outdo us, technology will outdo us, and that is not really the best use of our human skill or our human life, so to say. Now the time has come to be able to hone and nurture the real human abilities that is impossible to be replicated by technology. And that is why human capital comes in, that is why dynamic capabilities come in. And we have to, as parents, as teachers, and as individual selves also, take a very conscious stock taking of where our intelligence lies, where our skills lies, where our interest lies, where our motivation lies. And we have to understand that to be able to do our jobs well, of being a human being, rather than just being an employee or a mother or a wife or any other identity that we are playing, as a human being, it is our sole purpose to be able to uncover the best we have in us. It is a time to stop and think what we want to do with our lives and how we want to nurture the next generation to make good of what they have and what the world has to offer to them. There is a concept called ikigai. It's a Japanese word which says that it is actually an intersection of the space as to what you are good at, what the world needs, what you love to do, and what the world is ready to pay you for. If there is something that you are good at, and the world is ready to pay you for, it is your profession, you can do that, but you may still feel a certain vacuum inside you. You may still not have your soul's purpose met. If there is something that the world needs and you love to do, but it doesn't pay for, you may have a vocation, you may go and do a philanthropic job, but still at the end of the day, sustenance still will stare right at your face, and you still have to pay your bills. If there is something that you love to do and you are also good at, that's your passion, but does the world require you? Can you engage with the world with that kind of activity, and will you be rewarded back? Will you be engaged? Will you find your place in the big jigsaw called the earth, in more living terms, in more activity terms? So it is really an intersection of what we love, what we can do, what the world needs, what the world will pay us for. That lies at the core of our purpose, the purpose of life. And it is only when we achieve that ikigai, we will find our inner peace as well as an external purpose of life. It is only then that the education system and what we have inside us will shake their hand in a meaningful marriage, and we will make good of our lives and our abilities. I just wanted to leave you with these thoughts today. It is a heavy topic really, but it is time perhaps that we take a step back and think about what we want to do with our time, what we want to do with our lives, and maybe each of us find something that will sustain us and that will make our lives meaningful. Thank you. Any questions? If anyone wants to share a thought, suggestion?
Questions now or at the end?
After the second speaker.
Sure. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Here for the presentation. I can see especially people have come here for me. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you so much. Okay, regarding me, I am Dr. Gagandeep. I'm a professor. I teach in a college, and I specialize in HRN and OB subjects. I've done MCom, Masters in Commerce. I've done MA, Masters in Education. I've done MBA, Masters in Business Administration, and a PhD in Commerce and Management as well. I'll just share with you a story of mine. It's not been a very easy journey for me to have all these degrees, but I've always loved to study and read and study. That's all. I did my PhD. PhD is Philosophy in Doctorate in Commerce and Management. I did that after my marriage. I had both my children during my PhD. It was really not easy. I had to be awake for around 20 hours a day. I couldn't sleep for around more than 4 hours because I had a joint family. I had 2 small children to take care of. I had a job and I was studying. It was not an easy journey. It was very tough. But believe me, I enjoyed doing all that. At present, I'm teaching. Apart from that, I'm a PhD guide too. I've already guided 3 students for their doctorate degrees. And at present, still I'm guiding another student for his doctorate degree. Now this topic, I purposely chose this topic, virtual classrooms, basically because this is what we teach. And believe me, when I started my PhD way back in 2001, it wasn't easy for me. I'm from Chandigarh. That's around 250 kilometers from Delhi. And at that time, internet was not there, there was not much of an exposure that time. It was really very tough for me. I had to visit places, I had to come to Delhi, I had to visit so many universities because nothing was virtual then. There was no internet that time, but I had to do my research, I had to do my survey. I literally had to go to so many places for my research to read the books because it's not viable, it's not financially feasible for you to purchase so many books, to purchase so many journals, to talk to people on phone. I had to personally visit them. But now the world is actually shrinking. We all are here maybe because now the world is virtual. We all got connected because of the virtuality only. So really it's a great thing that everything is now online, everything is now virtual. So it says anywhere, anytime, anything. It's really, in fact, so very true. So I can see all learned people here, but still I've made a very small presentation. We would be, interacting on what are the problems, what are the advantages of being virtual. Because I being a professor in a college, I deal with young students. The students may be in the age of 15 to 20, 25 years. Postgraduate students also, like the MBA students which I teach, they've already done the engineering and now they are in the college with me, they're studying. So we are advantages of having these things. But at the same time, we are facing certain problems also. I would just be interacting those problems, etc. with you. Now just let's see what I have made. So actually, if we just imagine a situation, this is for a student. Exams coming up and the student had to miss a lecture because of illness, because of the student had to go somewhere. So what can we do? And you know, I think we all understand in today's competitive era, if a student, if a child misses a class, there are very less number of other people who would really help them because there's so much of competition, there's so much of reservation in our country, the seats are limited, the job opportunities are still limited. There is a dog race, you know, we have to fight amongst each other to be on the top. So we really share the notes. So virtual classroom is an online classroom wherein we can communicate with each other, view presentations or videos, interact with other participants and engage with resources in the work groups, sitting at one place and doing all these things when the person is not sitting there, the person is virtually present anywhere in the globe. We'll just discuss a few points. Now how did this come actually? It started way back in 1999 because it was this time, because the other day I was teaching in the college only, this particular topic. I was thinking, when did all these things come up? When did it start actually? And what was the need that made these things to start? So this is the brief history of when it started. In 1840, Isaac Pitman taught his pupils shorthand via correspondence. We all know what is shorthand typing in shorthand. So he used to teach them via correspondence. They used to make notes and then share with him. But at the same time, they have to send in the notes, etc. manually. So therefore, after this was started, it was so easy for him. I'll be very brief regarding the next topic. The features of virtual learning, the first one, it brings participants together from different geographical locations as we are now. Here they are sitting physically, but in case we need to talk to each other, we need to communicate with each other, how can that happen? Now we just cannot keep on meeting each other. You are there in US, I am there in India, you may be in some other part of India, you may be in Delhi but not in the place at the place where I am residing. So how can we actually talk to each other? Obviously by virtually. Then, because actually I would like to share in the month of June, the next month I am coming up with an international conference. So I met so many participants here who would like to be a part of the conference. I would be organizing it here only at Taj. So there are so many people who would wish to be a part of the conference, but obviously now that they are here from USA, they just cannot again, it's not maybe viable for them to come again in June, the next month. They may not be getting a holiday from the office. So what we are planning on is, we can have them virtually present. They would be there in their office, in their country, and then we can have them here virtually. So we can talk to them on Skype or video conferencing so that they are a part of this particular conference that maybe I am organizing in June. So these are the benefits that we are getting. All types of digital media can be integrated, interaction between participants and instructor via application. There has to be an application sharing. Without that, we cannot do that. So these are the things that we can have, sharing of documents, then we can do chatting, what we all keep on doing. It can be via Messenger, it can be via any social media, it can be via WhatsApp. Now there are certain problems that I see as a professor. There are certain problems which are there, which we are facing both as a teacher or as a student, because of virtual classrooms, because we had a session in the morning, even that professor also very well described. We have so much of knowledge, we have so much of exposure, but the only thing is we just do not know what do we need to grab, what do we need to retain with ourselves. There has to be a limit on what all we are taking, because we've got children, we've got students in the college, they just do not know what kind of information they should take, but they are just taking. So there are certain tips. Even another thing is, at times the instructor, the classroom teacher is, because we've got fresher teachers in our college as well, they just do not know how to cope up with so much of the content which is available on internet, and how to actually, what content should be taken and what has to be shared with the students. Certain tips have to be there which we need to keep in mind. We have to determine our goals and objectives, because we have to limit ourselves to the topic. Next thing, choose ideal method of delivery. It has to be totally manual, it has to be totally physical, or it has to be just the slides. Because I'll just share one thing with you. You know, in India, what we had earlier, this was the system that we had earlier in our country. Can you just make out something from you? Anyone?
Yes, Gurukulam.
Sorry? Gurukulam, Shanti Niketan. Can you just make out something from this in this particular slide? You know I've already ordered this. Can you just make out something from it? What is it?
There is a teacher,
Yeah.
and there are students all with him in one location.
In one location, yes. This was the situation we used to have earlier, long back in our country, wherein there was, we still have these kinds of institutes, wherein the students were, taught, you should be knowing being a big one. The students were taught in the natural surroundings. There you can see a teacher, the purpose that I have shared this picture is, the teacher is sitting there under a tree, but on a higher platform. Can we see that? Here again, the teacher is sitting on a higher platform. So biggest problem that we have nowadays, which we feel is, it's not only higher platform in terms of physically, it's in terms of heroes. The teachers were actually given so much of respect by the children. Now these things we are actually lacking. It's not just sitting on the floor. This thing is also much low, it should be. I think we need to respect our teachers. I'll share with you, I have a student. He's presently studying in Queensland, he was studying in Queensland University. He did graduation under me. Then he did his post-graduation from Queensland in Australia. And now he's been recruited there. He's joined the university as an academic instructor there itself. We are still in touch. And he's always thanking me, ma'am, you only, because he is again something like this kind of a student.
I always analyze practice that was existing from our past.
Yeah.
Like I'm from Nepal, and the culture from Nepal and India are almost similar.
He's a Nepalese brother. I'll share with you the student I'm looking for.
But for me, like those things, what was originally developed, that time the meaning was meaningful.
Correct.
But till now, as you tell, that is not differences or discrimination because of teacher and student. The originally it was good, but what developed in our mind is mindset in different way. Like for me, the student, there are 10, 20, 30, 50 students. At that time we didn't have many Gurukul schools, and my elder brothers and sister always got those education, and they told that they are telling that there were more than 100 students sitting in here and there, and the teacher was in like that way. And to see by all the students the face of teacher, the teacher should be in high place. Okay. And so that the other children who are sitting in the ground, they can see the teacher easily. But that set in our mind, teacher is intellectual person, he is high level person, and that's why students should respect him, and he should be in chair. Now in nowadays context, he should be in a chair and get respect. That is how people's mindset of is the different, rather than for me complaining about the original setting. For the woman in culture, culture, we have so many cultural discrimination now. But for me, originally it was good. Like for us, we do the period, you might have same culture. For 4 days, the women are impurified. We can't go to the kitchen, we can toss to the man, we can do this and that, no temple, no visiting, no like religious activities and everything during the period for us. In my,
We still have this in India as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's mainly because we need to take rest for the 3 days because
Yes,
the other
logic
days,
behind is what she's saying.
yeah.
that I am telling,
And
like
the other days we work double than the men
Yeah.
because we are so much capable, and the 3 days or 4 days we need to take the rest. That's the reason that.
The
culture
logic
was-
is this. The only thing is we have just, according to her, this thing, the males maybe because they just want them to be shown as superior, so they have made these things. But the logic is what she is saying, just because the women should be given rest during these.
that women should get rest, that I highly respect. And originally for me it was with good purpose. In my mom's time, no one were wearing the pad or panty or nothing was there. During the period time, we only had a sari. And then to protect from dust and then from the bad things for others, it was good. And as you are telling, for the rest, it was good. There were so many good meaning to start that. But now we are following that, and then though we are women alone at home, no husband, very young kids, and still we are following that culture. We can protect our dust, our like what is called bad things.
We used to have this kind of culture. We still have it in India at many places. We still have it. But no, just because of maybe modernization, opening up of minds, now we are becoming. And one more thing, we cannot even afford to do all these things. Why? Because most of our families in India, now we are going for the neutral family. Neutral family means just the main family, the husband, the wife, and the children. That's all. So if the female doesn't work during those days, she doesn't go to the kitchen during those days, the whole family will have to starve. So maybe now we are becoming more of pragmatic, we are becoming more of rational, more of practical. So this is what we were talking about. As you said, maybe you mean just because the teacher had to see so many children and the children had to see the teacher, he was sitting on the upper platform. But I would beg to differ here. It's not only the platform, just because he had to see. It's because here also. The students, we have to accept the teacher has more of experience. The teacher has more of knowledge than us. And whenever we are learning something from somewhere, when we are taking knowledge from someone, we really have to put that person above the pedestal. Because whenever we learn, there is a word in Hindi, seekhna. To learn we call it seekhna. Whenever we have to learn, we have to be on the, even if I keep on learning from my students. We all are learning every day. Fine. So when we are learning, I have to shed away my ego. It's not only I have to sit on floor now. I have to shed away my ego and learn. My students teach me so many things. I may not be very good in IT. I am an HR person. I teach HR OD to the students. And the students, nowadays, we can see the students, they are so much tech savvy. My own child teaches me. That means I just cannot be, you don't know this, I know this. I cannot do that. So when I have to learn, it's not only in terms of the seek, it's terms of your lives. And I think we should hardly accept this also. So virtual learning, maybe we are having one problem, we are leaving these things. I don't think we just simply have to go in for the virtual learning. The classrooms can never be changed as such. They cannot be replaced by computers. Though we can have them as supplementary. The computers, the laptop, we can have it as supplementary, but we cannot replace the classroom by virtual learning. We would be having so many problems. The first problem is this only. To whom to interact. Now we've got so many portals, like in our country, we've got so many portals wherein if the child needs to learn something in the classroom, he did not understand something, he comes back home. If he has to know something, we've got so many portals like Merit Nation is there. This is one of the organization wherein there is virtual learning. The student can type in the question, 24 hours, the teacher is there at the back end and you can immediately get the answer. That's fine. But we cannot say that you are replacing the classrooms. We still need to have, otherwise what will happen? The values are just going to deplete. If we see a child sitting in isolation, just doing this kind of virtual education and learning, he will not be able to socialize, which is the biggest problem at present, even I am facing in the classroom. So therefore, purposely, I try to share this particular thing. Another problem which we may be having, I'll just finish now. Listen, aren't we seeing our children all the time addicted to computers or the telephones? And this thing is just, we cannot see them in the playgrounds now. We can just see them on the mobile phone playgrounds also. So this is again, we being parents, we are responsible for that. Yes, we are getting them phones, but that is again, ma'am. If I would tell someone what are you doing on phone, I'm just reading, I'm just gaining knowledge. But this is more important. Okay, fine. I like here only. You already made the bed. Okay. I think virtual learning is very good. We need to have it because I myself have personally faced the problem. During my PhD, there was no virtual learning. There was no internet. But now the things have become much easier. But we should not take it wholeheartedly. Just what we cannot replace the classroom. We've got so many courses, even I do Coursera courses, I do MOOC courses, I encourage my children, my students to going for the Coursera courses which are provided by so many universities. Yale University is doing that, Stanford is doing that, IITs are giving us the online courses. Yes, we need to be updated, but at the same time, we cannot replace virtual learning. We cannot do that. Thank you.
Comment on both. So you had talked about the fact that too many times that we look at where we careers and education more towards careers versus towards passion, and we're not really looking inside of ourselves. And then I want to kind of talk about this virtual classroom, if it's good or bad, and then the concept. So I'm just going to try to combine my answer in one. So I think right now education is, well, let me not say education, academics, youth schools, the structure of universities and colleges and even high school, just our whole education system is probably like so far behind of where society is, and what we need in terms of learning. In terms of just how it's structured, we're still going to school the same way. But I think that, learning has changed.
Right.
But right now, we still are focused on university is a route to get a job. So we're not focused on that university and college is a route to learn, to develop yourself, to know more, to interact. And so therefore, until that mindset changes of the purpose of university, that is not to get a job, but university is so you can learn more, so you can now decide what you want to do with your life. It'll be a long time before we have this combination of looking to yourself. Because at the end of the day, the person has accomplished something in 4 years, 6 years, or 8 years. And so the next question is, what's next? And so you cannot say after 4 years of your parents, writing checks for you, what's next is I'm going to find myself. Nobody wants to hear that, So I think there has to be a shift on what we think of university and colleges before, and of what their ultimate goal is before we can start asking people to not tie it to career. It's heavily tied to career. Even if you leave school and say I want to start a business, you're considered a failure. So it has to be you leave school, get yourself a really super great job, and then you have actually had some success.
And
Exactly.
against one Steve Jobs who would drop out of college and obviously take that route and mess up with their own lives. So it has to be a responsible and accountable decision, and it is not an easy one.
Yeah, and I think we like to use those examples of Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg,
Right, right.
but they are anomalies.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
of course.
actually anomalies. And I think,
Absolutely,
yeah,
yes.
and I think also too that university has its place, and it has a strong place because it's not just about what you learn. I think the greatest asset of university is the network.
Right.
That every day or every term you get to sit with 30, 40, 50 people, depends on your study, that you have not met.
Right.
And then later in life, when you need to make connections, I can call you up and say, hey, hello, remember me? We were in Economics 101. Versus the fact that I'm now with all the other pack trying to get into your office. And that's where I think virtual universities have a challenge. I'm a product of my master's degree was 100% online. I never met any of my classmates until the day of my graduation. And half of them didn't even show up for graduation. So till today, I don't know who those classmates are. So I don't have the benefit of that network. I don't have the benefit of using that those people to be in my network, because just interacting with people online doesn't really foster and build the kind of education.
Connection has to be.
Yeah, that connection that you really need, which is what alumni, when you say you're an alumni of a school, is this that you're not alumni of a title, you're an alumni of a community that actually forms. So I think that to me would be one of the major challenges of having totally virtual school, because you lose that connection. And my last point is, this whole thing about kids being on computers, that it's too much, and they should run out and play, I'm sorry, I don't buy into it. I think that parents have always used a substitute for parenting.
Yes.
And now computers are just another substitute. The first substitute was go out and play. I'm too busy, I'm too tired to talk to you, so go out and play. Go to play ball, go read a book, because I'm too tired to be a parent. And so now we just have technology. It says that I'm too tired. Because if we were parenting, then our child would not be so consumed in technology. It's because we've given them that vacuum. And anytime there's a vacuum, it has to be filled with something. And that vacuum is now filled with technology. Before it was filled with go out and play, before it was filled with watching television. So I think the responsibility is not that technology is taking over our children. We need to just be better parents.
You know what, and this is what we would be expecting from them when they grow up. Because when I was sitting with my son there, I was just saying, look, I have to keep on poking him all the time. Look, I'm getting next year when you grow up, I grow old, you have to take me. Will you take me? Because we have to,
Putting so
make a
much
connection
barrier.
with the child. We just cannot it's a Sunday, fine, you still be at home alone. I cannot do that. I think we being a parent, we are much more responsible. We just cannot give a phone or a laptop to the child. Okay, fine. What you are saying is totally correct. We have to make that connection and with the teachers as well, as I said. We have to make a connection with the teachers and the pupils. The virtual classrooms cannot replace the physical classrooms.
I think, my
Personality of a child, we just cannot expect then a child to be a totally well-groomed child. We cannot say.
very interestingly, and though these two sessions were kind of discrete to begin with, but it is interesting how they both tie up, because I feel, and thank you for kind of adding to my opinion on that virtual classroom obviously lacks, as you also pointed out, the human connection, and human connection of the sense of being an alumni of a bigger group of people to belong. Frankly, today it is a huge psychological crisis, huge social crisis. Loneliness is so rampant that it is not really a mental disease, but we need a minister of loneliness to be appointed. And from there, we need that human connection. We need that circumstances to be set up in a way where we meet for a purpose and we have common goals and common requirements. I think virtual classrooms are more useful on a COTP basis, continuous education, later on. I have studied economics, I have studied to become an actuary. I am now an author, and I find myself going to Coursera, going to MOOC, taking up classes on psychology, taking up classes on ancient philosophy, taking up classes on Buddhism, just because those are my interest points. These are things that I work towards.
Once you have the
It is continuous education. It is more of, very recently I was reading a book which said that, our education system needs to open up so that we don't have to box ourselves into identities. If you are a science student, you study only science. No. There has been so many mathematicians who say that I find an intrinsic similarity between mathematics and music, or with physics and spirituality. I mean, we have to open our education structure to be able to expand and allocate and accommodate all the kinds of people, and thereafter produce more different kind of intelligence that are more required. And we also need to enhance the human connection. And I completely agree with you on your token of parenting. Just give me 1 minute. Just your token on parenting, etc. I'm totally, in agreement with what you just said. That it really is. I mean, nurturing uselessness is also a very important portion of being human. It is not really about filling up time. Obviously, I have even seen 1-year-old and 2-year-old being handed out the tab, or the iPhone by the parents, so that they stop crying and they are engaged themselves, so that the elders can just engage among themselves. So this is really, virtual classroom has its own place. It is not really a mobile game, or it is not really a replacement as such. These are very pertinent topics to talk about what essentially needs to change. And as you also said, the corporates or the jobs requiring the university degrees more than the education, and the important difference between academic and education. This is really where we should spin our heads around. I mean, the universities need some kind of an evidence that you have certain, knowledge or certain whatever to be able to, dispense the job you are being hired for and you are being paid for. But having said that, is that the right, is that the only right way of doing it? And is that all we have to get out of our education? That stamp on the CV, or that line on the CV, which will get us to the next step, next career. There is a whole lot of void in this puzzle that needs to be filled up to make proper use of our talents, as well as the evidence system that goes into a corporate employment structure. If you are going to be an entrepreneur, you can as well be a school dropout if you have your correct intellect in place and if you can play it out. But it doesn't always work with the employment structure. So very interesting questions. I mean, I don't have answers to that, but very interesting questions still. Thank you.
I'm just proud of you for just even being here. For just moving from meeting to meeting. Yeah. My husband would have given up on day one. Stayed in the room. So give me the feedback.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, very good. Very good.